Hey, what's going on, guys? Killer6 back with my first build in Borderlands 4, and this one is Amon. And I know that I've already done the Rafa build, and I will have that for you shortly as well, but I wanted to show off this Amon build because I've already seen other people basically, I don't want to say copying it, but it's almost like one for one what I've been doing for like a week plus now, and I figured I might as well get the build out there so I could show you guys what I do with the build. All right, so what does this build do? It does all kinds of cool stuff. Number one, you can run and gun 100% if you want on this build. I've got some decent gear here. I do not have perfect like weapons at this point because I spend most of my time whipping fools, because the way I've got my build set up is I can basically whip non-stop and be invincible. That's right, an invincible Amon. I know everybody's talking about how squishy he is, but with this build you stay alive forever. That's pretty much the gist of it. Okay, so my main weapon that I like to use is the wombo combo. Now I will mix it up depending on what kind of enemies we're facing because you want to match your elements. I have yet to get a fire wombo combo, so I need to work on getting that for this build, but I do have a shock and corrosive, so I mix between those two. I also use a whiskey tango foxtrot. I've got this just absolutely ridiculous anarchy. If I ever have any trouble killing any bosses, I can just use this and it's just an instant kill. It's kind of ridiculous. So if you ever see this exact anarchy, has to have that alt fire, has to have those Torg sticky mag, has to have the replicator. As long as you see that, get it, because it is godly. I got a standard triple bypass. Now this one was given to me by a viewer, but I did have a level 31 or so version of this that I had obtained myself as a world drop, oddly enough. And the reason I like this particular roll is the accelerator roll in this thing. Whenever I have this, I can get back into my action skill basically instantly because you have 3 charges of this. I can pop one, and with the combination of that plus my specialization that gives me now with caffeine, between those two things, that's going to basically put me back to having my action skill. As a matter of fact, here we can show it off real quick. So we'll just let this thing run out and then I'll show you. All right, as you can see, the action skill just ran out. I pop a rep kit. You can see that put me down to like 20. Pop another rep kit that puts me to 9, and then pop another one and I've got my action skill back. It's that easy. It's that easy. So like I was saying before, we use the fish slap, we have the shatter white, and I use the one with ordnance. I've seen other people trying to say that you should use the one with gun damage, but the ordnance one does more damage. I've tested this, I've confirmed this. For my results, you want this one, ordnance damage. Now the reason you want ordnance damage is because how the whip works, and I'll talk about that here in a second. For the shield, I use the What's for Dinner. This is giving me shock damage on my whip. The one that I've rolled here also gives me, when energy shields are empty, I get an extra 20% melee damage. But that's the thing, my energy shields are almost never empty, but on the off chance that they do go empty, I get extra melee damage. And then I have been using this torrential hefty volt action enhancement. This one is for Hyperion licensed parts. It doesn't even matter on that. This one has a gun damage roll, which I don't think actually applies to the formula here. However, I've been trying it anyhow. I've also got flat off. This is what I would use if I'm doing my gun stuff with my wombo combo. I would swap to that. But right now I need to put a Gadget Ahoy on this thing. But once I do that, then I'm set to just switch that back and forth. I've also got this Jacobs one that I like to keep as well. Now, another thing that people have talked about is possibly using the heavyweight, and I have found that this is actually weaker than just using the what's for dinner as well. All right, now let's talk about the skill tree. Blueberry punch. All right, so this is where my action skill is at. I'm using Scourge, and we're only using this augment, the Eternal Winter, which is what gives me my whip. I have only spec'd down to this point of the tree. I have not gone any further below this. I've seen people use this skill, and it is basically worthless to you. You're gonna get like 300 extra shock damage per hit with a point in here. It's completely pointless. Don't bother. All right, just don't bother, because you're not even going to need this. You're not going to need this at all. Up here, I put 4 points into Scorched Kairos. Now, with a few more points, this build could be even crazier, because I've only got 4 here, 4 here, and 4 here. I just run out of points. That's all there is to it. If I could, I'd put 5 here, I'd put 5 here, and I'd put 5 here. But basically, as you can see, the whip is ordnance damage, and because it's ordnance damage, you want to boost ordnance damage. So we've done that here. We've also boosted the tail of the comet, so there's a chance to apply a status, a cryo effect that applies cryo damage over time. This is just really good extra damage after you hit them. And then we got Amon deals extra cryo damage. Now I've also put 4 points over here into Battleborn so that we get extra gun damage, because again, part of this formula is that we do need to boost gun damage. We'll talk about that here in a second. Next, let's talk about the pumpkin spice tree. Over here, we've got 5 points in melee critical hit chance. Basically with this, as much as I'm hitting people, I'm basically going to be hitting some crits almost non-stop with my whip. We've got Tritanium Knuckles. This gives me extra melee damage and skill damage. And with that Shatter White, which I don't think I actually mentioned this, with the Shatter White, your Forge Waves now deal melee damage in addition to their other types. Melee attacks while Scourge is active gain increased cryo efficiency and radius. So this basically means that my whip no longer just does ordnance damage, and now does ordnance damage plus melee damage, which is why we're using some skills that boost melee damage. All right, then we also have Gut Punch. This is a must-have for this build, because whenever you hit an enemy with melee or ordnance damage, you have a chance to apply weakness to enemies for a duration, and you're basically going to be hitting them with weakness non-stop. It's going to last for 8 seconds, and then you're going to hit them with weakness again pretty much non-stop. They're going to take extra damage, they're going to deal less damage, and you're going to just see that it makes everything a lot better on them on. We got Bullet Storm. This one is also another gun damage effect, and this one is per stack. Whenever you apply a status effect, you gain gun damage for a duration, and with your whip, you're going to be applying a ton of stacks. Well, the maximum stacks is 5, so that's going to be what, 35% extra gun damage. So it all adds up. We've got so many different things that are boosting melee damage and gun damage, and yeah, you get the idea. Now I've got 3 points for my class mod here in Berserk, and this skill is really good. You get bonus cryo damage whenever you activate your forge skill. That's your big shield thing that you throw down on the ground, the big red barrier. When you throw that thing down, you become berserk for 15 seconds, and you deal an extra 48% cryo damage while you're doing that. It's pretty crazy. And then comboing with that is there is only red. Whenever Amon kills an enemy while Berserk is active, you partially restore the Berserk duration, meaning you keep that cryo damage going, and you increase your bonus cryo damage from Berserk. So the increased bonus damage is 60% per kill. So if there's mobs in the area when you're fighting a boss, kill a couple mobs, that's going to boost your extra cryo damage as well. I've also seen people spec into my Touch's Death. This is pointless with this build. I'm telling you guys, the only thing that this is going to boost is you're going to get a 1 in 3 chance, basically a 1 in 3 chance whenever you apply melee damage to trigger this skill. That's it. And you're going to be triggering this skill all the freaking time anyhow. So there's literally no point in my Touch's Death. Instead, I put my extra points here into Brimming Vigor. That gave me an extra melee damage boost when my health is full. And as you will have seen from the footage leading up to this, I can keep my health full just by whipping enemies. In the specializations, I have gone with the Runner, Sharpshooter, and Daredevil perks. What I'm actually using right now is Bare Arms. Melee damage now benefits from increases to gun damage. That was what we were talking about just a second ago. We are using Groundbreaker. That's the thing that allows me that after I'm whipping, I just go and punch somebody with my shield, and that does crazy damage. It's very strong. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? Then we got Now with Caffeine. This is the thing that reduces my action skill cooldown whenever Repkit is activated, and combining that with my 3 charges on my triple bypass, that just means instant cooldown. And then the final perk that I'm using is I Am a Gun. Action skill damage now benefits from increases to gun damage. All right, next let's talk about about the firmware. Now, what I like to run on my Amon is Gadget Ahoy with 3 points in this, and this gives me ordnance cooldown duration, which isn't that important for me. It does help with the fish, but the main things that we use it for are the ordnance damage, which is increased by 20%, and then when you get an ordnance kill, you get another 20% damage increase for 15 seconds. So again, look for the mobs in the area, kill one of them, and then you're going to do extra damage to the boss. My second piece of firmware, I like to rock Action Fist. This is going to boost my melee damage by 15% and my action skill damage by another 10%. Now, if we had 3 out of 3 in this, then it would be on melee kill. Action skill damage is also increased by 25% for 8 seconds, which would be really nice, but not at all necessary for this build. Let's take this thing and show you guys what it can do versus just some general mobbing area. Actually, let's go to a drill site. I love drill sites. All right, so here we are at the Foundry Freaks. This is one of my favorite drill sites to run. I just love the enemy density here. It's so much fun. So we're just gonna pop our whip here real quick. I'm gonna kill these explodey dudes because everybody hates them. And we just turn ourselves toward red dots and we just slay. Let's whip a few more people here. And I know it maybe it doesn't look that crazy, but there's that crazy melee critical hit when you've whipped people for a bit. So as you can see, we're basically going to be able to stay alive non-stop even versus these guys, as long as we stay out of that fire pool, wipe those guys out. And that just leaves Frank the Furnace here, and we're gonna whip him a few times, and then we're gonna have a very, very powerful melee that we can hit him with. Bam. You can see that like takes him down pretty good. And let's finish him off. There we go. That's all there is to it. And then we'll still have plenty of charge left to kill the rest of the mobs in this area. But yeah, that's the build, man. It's super easy. It's like in terms of like farming the gear, the hardest thing to get would probably be that triple bypass. Everything else is not that bad. The Slippy, I didn't even mention the Slippy in terms of how I use it. You just throw your Slippy through the barrier and it does extra damage. And you can tank these by like staring at them with your shield up too, in case that matters to you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. If you did, hit that like button, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon for more. We'll be working on Harlow and Vex on stream over the next week or so. We'll be doing a level 30 skip with those. We're not going to try and go all the way through the story again with them. It's just too much. And I'm going to show you guys how I do the level 30 skip and give you guys some tips and tricks on how to make that a little less painful. Appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you guys in the Rafa build coming in the next couple of days. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.